Well, I have a person of interest I want us to talk about. When we were talking about Red Pepper, I love this guy. Back in the day, there was, I mean, I think a famous voice that's iconic to our ears is the movie trailers we used to hear. In a world,
In a world.
the famous voice. He was so iconic to movie trailers. I remember when I moved to LA and was starting voice acting, he would be in a limo going to all the different studios in Hollywood, and he was the movie trailer guy. I don't care if he was working for Warner Brothers or Paramount. For some reason, he had no conflict of interest because he was the movie guy. You might remember back in the day when you used to call movie phone. Y'all remember that? Movie phone. There was that guy you'd call and movie phone. Push one, push two. That was a voice.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, press 1. For a list of shows and showtimes, press 2. For a list of theaters, addresses, and hours of operation, press 3. For a list of recommendations by genre, press 4. If you are having a medical emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Thank you, and have a great day.
Yeah. It became iconic and branded to movies. Well, Red Pepper is the guy now because the original In a World guy passed, and here comes Red Pepper out of London. And I want you to listen to this because movie trailers is a whole nother genre that people are making a way in. And wow, I mean, what does it take to do a movie trailer? So let's say you're getting some scripts and somebody gives you a promo script, they give you an animation script, and then they give you a trailer. What does that say? How are trailers supposed to be done? Well, go on, Tiffany, talk to me. What's the purpose of a trailer? How do you approach a trailer script for your audition?
So what I've been seeing is traditionally it's based on the energy of the movie. So if it's an action-packed movie, then the reader is generally gonna start off with some type of adverb or adjective, and their energy starts out high with that. If it's a drama, then it's just however they change their voice based on what the type of movie that's coming out. And you can hear I used to be obsessed with the movie guys. So I love that. That's like been my all-time favorite. So I'm not happy he quit, but I'm happy there's more space.
Well, he didn't really quit. His name is Don LaFontaine. Fontaine. In a world, but he was always known for those deep. But I'm gonna tell you something else. Movie trailers have just recently opened up for women.
In a world.
You know, like promos used to be so male driven, and trailers, men practically run it. But I'm starting to hear a little bit more, and I've started to let my agent know I want to be in the trailer business too. So open up some opportunities for me to help get more women in there. But you're right, Tiffany, it depends on the tone. Here we talk about tone again. If you're doing a Disney movie, and remember, it's just a couple of lines, you don't have a time to build a character. You're not a character. You're a narrator at that point. And you're just moving the energy along. So you're right. It could be like if it's a woman, if it's a rom-com, that's a whole different trailer than Schwarzenegger doing a killer movie, you know, or a horror film, or a children's movie, or even a comedy. But there's still that driven energy underneath it. In a world, it's still that gripping. It has to be gripping energy that carries you through. Because you got, in 2 seconds, you got to get somebody to go and pay $12, probably $25 to go to a movie. And you are the storyteller. So take a listen here. I'm going to introduce you to, oh, I just love this man. His work is so good.
It's 1994. These are the top 10 movies at the box office. Notice anything in common?
You are about to embark on an extraordinary journey.
It was the night before Christmas.
This is the story of Stanley Ipkiss. For 15 years, Harry Tasker's been leading a double life.
Every single one had a voiceover. But in 2019, none of the top 10 had a voiceover. So how did we end up in a world without movie trailer voiceovers? The first trailer didn't show up until 1913, but it was such a success that it quickly became a movie-going staple. Obviously, movie theater owners like making money from ads, and theatergoers like watching them because they're fun. At the time, movies were silent, so to tell the audience important information, they used title cards. So a trailer at the time looked a little something like this. And trailers stayed that way until the 1940s. The vehicle of narration shifted from title cards to voiceovers. But it didn't sound like a booming voice of God. It sounded more like this.
Don't forget this man. He has plenty to do with the terrifying mystery that causes this glamorous woman to risk her life and reputation in a reckless experiment. A woman who, because of her consuming love for this man, gambles everything to unlock the fearful secret in his heart.
Narration was intended to give a brief premise and explanation of the movie, in this case, Spellbound, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. But to our modern ears, that was a long explanation. It took them a solid 45 seconds to establish who this movie was about. Gregory Peck, this guy, what the main conflict is. Ingrid Bergman trying to figure out why Peck is scared of parallel lines. And why you should be interested, which is that this is a mystery. This style of narration was championed by Art Gilmore, an actor who was a stickler for proper enunciation. He brought a dictionary with him to every recording session. Here's one of his trailers from 1953.
This is the untamed wilderness, grandeur that seems untouched by man. And into this mountain fastness comes a man in pursuit of danger.
This style of movie trailer narration remained popular from the 40s to the 60s. But the whole industry changed in 1964 when the Western Gunfighters of Casa Grande was filming. The announcer that they had hired to narrate the trailer didn't show, and the crew needed something to present to MGM so they could sell advertising spots. They had to complete the trailer that day, but the announcer was nowhere to be found. So a recording engineer stepped up to give it a shot. This was the result.
Across the Rio Grande to Mexico they came, 5 desperate men with guns swinging.
MGM loved it. The recording engineer decided to start a career as a voiceover actor. His name was Don LaFontaine. He was born in 1940 in Duluth, Minnesota, to a normal suburban family. He says that his voice cracked at age 13 in the middle of a sentence, giving him his famous deep voice, and worked as a recording engineer for the Army Band and Chorus. After discharge, he began working at a recording studio in New York City, which is where he came to be on the set of Gunfighters of Casa Grande. LaFontaine became the head of Kaleidoscope Films, a movie trailer production company, before starting his own company, Don LaFontaine Associates, in 1976. And he was still voicing trailers, amassing a huge library of work.
Because I love what I do. I always have. And I consider myself certainly the luckiest person I'd ever met.
Shortly after this, he was hired by Paramount to do their trailers, and was eventually promoted to vice president. But in 1981, he was sick of it and left Paramount to focus more on voiceover work. To do that, he moved to Los Angeles. LaFontaine was hitting his stride. He was recording up to 35 spots a day, chauffeured around LA in a white stretch Lincoln Town Car with the monogram DLF, topped with a little crown. This chariot tank hybrid was equipped with a wildly expensive car phone and fax machine that would print out scripts as LaFontaine was en route to each recording. LaFontaine called himself a generic VOG, voice of God, but the industry called him Thunderthroat, or the King. The peak of the voiceover artist in the movie trailer industry was arguably in 1994, That was the last time that all top 10 films at the box office used a narrator in their trailers. It started to decline after that, dropping to 9, then hovering around 6 to 7 for the next few years. And the ones that did use narration were blockbuster summer flicks, like Die Hard with a Vengeance in 1995.
In the hands of a mastermind of terror.
I want to play a game with Lieutenant McLean.
Yeah, that is actually LaFontaine that you hear. And in 1996, Independence Day.
And although it seems like any ordinary day, it isn't.
Which, you guessed it, is also LaFontaine. For almost 10 years, trailer narrations hovered around that amount. But in 2008, tragedy struck.
On Friday, August 22nd, 2008, LaFontaine was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles with a pulmonary embolism. 10 days later, LaFontaine died on September 1st, 2008, at 67 years old. Without LaFontaine, the trailer narration industry slumped. He'd had a huge monopoly on it for some time. If you base it around the amount of contracts he signed, he's the single busiest actor in the history of the Screen Actors Guild. Without their go-to guy, Hollywood executives just didn't have trailer narrations.
And that transition was eased by shifting trends in movie marketing.
Around the late 2000s and early 2010s, the highest grossing movies became ones with built-in fan bases. We're talking massive series like Harry Potter and comic book adaptations like Iron Man. People already knew who Harry Potter is or why we should care about Tony Stark.
One of the reasons why maybe that's declined is for the big tentpole studio movies, audiences are more familiar with the characters. So you have like Marvel movies or something, you don't need to explain who these people are. And they rely a lot on existing intellectual property, like books and stuff.
They didn't have to be convinced. They already cared.
A narrator wasn't necessary since a trailer didn't have to communicate those details. Plus, nowadays, trailers are viewed tons of times, and there are previews and ads all over social media, seen hundreds of times a day. When trailer narrations first became a thing, trailers were normally viewed just once inside a theater. They needed to quickly convey all those details we just talked about. And they really only had one chance to do it. With the mass amounts of marketing now, it's unneeded.
With this shift in marketing tactics, movie narration didn't stand a chance without LaFontaine.
The amount of narrated trailers plummeted, and now there's only a few a year, if that. Modern trailers have now turned to the actors. They use dialogue from the film or new scripts read by the actors.
Check out this trailer for the new reboot of Dune.
There's something happening to me. There's something awakening in my mind. I can't control it.
Timothy Chalamet's dialogue gets you right into the story. No inner world needed.
And with a proper script, actor dialogue can hit all the same points as a voiceover. Setting the scene, letting you know why you should care, even if it's less emphasized.
It's all there, just in a different format.
There has always been a progression of trailer narration as technology has advanced, from title cards to long transatlantic explanations to LaFontaine's drama to actor dialogue.
The industry was on the edge in 2008, and LaFontaine's death pushed it over the edge into the unknown.
On the one hand, you might think that the movie trailer as we know it is going to disappear and get replaced with this sort of shorter form, like more social thing. And I think maybe in the marketing world, there's probably a lot of tension over that. Like, do you make your main trailer and all your effort into like the social media Instagram trailer, which is going to be a different size and maybe a different length of time and a different audience? And then do you unravel all the rest of your work from there? But I think it's probably going to linger a little bit more in the traditional trailer format. And some evidence of that is new trailers have tons of views. Like there's the Batman trailer that came out recently. They sort of set records all the time with these new trailers. So there's still a huge audience for it.
And we might be on the cusp again soon, as shorter and shorter video clips become more popular on social media.
It might bring about the end of movie trailer narrations, but it also might make us innovate again.
Well, that was interesting. It sure brings up how we are affected by trends. You know, I've known a lot of friends who were influencers back in the day on YouTube, and then all of a sudden, the algorithm changed. And what was hot all of a sudden was not. Glozell, the girl with the green lips, she took my class because she was in transition because she was she had billboards all over Hollywood, y'all. The girl with the green lips, that's a Glozell Green. She had to come up with something quick. She was in reinvention. I said, come on in here and let's take this class. She slammed this class because she had, you know, sometimes we're in renovation or reinvention because we want to, sometimes because we have to. She was in reinvention. She is today seen in the Trolls movie. She's one of the trolls, one of the main trolls. She made that transition, but she was a victim of trends. Genres can change, and what else did we hear? They can also, while you think they can be replaced, they can't because it's traditional. And a lot of people like tradition. And guess what? Just when you thought the trailer was about to disappear, there are kids who love to watch stuff for less than a minute. And they love tradition. Do you know what put a lot of YouTube on the map? I know my show that was up on YouTube is because people love 1990s commercials. Who knew? So don't let anybody tell you that things will disappear. They just come back in different forms. And if that's your genre, if that's what you want to do, I want you to be bold and do that and claim it. Here's what I wanted to show you, and I'm so glad that we caught that that background, because here's the thing I wanted to show you.
In a world where cat videos and memes rule the feeds, one media company will rise above the noise. This is Great Big Story.
Okay, Red, that was great. Thank you.
You got it?
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
You can stop speaking like that now, though.
What do you mean? This is how I always speak.
Okay, cut.
My name is Red Pepper. I'm a voiceover artist. In the UK, I've voiced hundreds of movie trailers. Men in Black, Saving the Earth from the Scum of the Universe, Blair Witch Project, Armageddon, Space Jam, Mr. Bean's Holiday. So many, I forget half of them, to be honest with you. I started doing television adverts, animations, audio books. I do a lot of video games as well, and a lot of them are sound effects of ghouls in the background. For Mr. Bean. When I first started doing movie trailers, that was fun. One man. Coming soon to a cinema near you. Sometimes I do romantic movies in a sleepy town. Sometimes I'm doing horror. Don't answer the door. You gotta use your voice. You gotta raise it sometimes, and you gotta take it to the depths. Very occasionally I get recognized, but generally no. But the time I do get recognized, phone goes off in the train, guaranteed. Hello, and people look up from behind the newspapers. The way I got into being a voice artist was kind of strange. I used to drive trains on the London Underground. One morning I was making my announcements. All stations to Harrow. Mind the doors. A television executive was a passenger on my train. He got off at the next stop, ran up to my cab. We exchanged details, and the rest is history. I've had some strange experiences as a voice artist. I was doing a trailer for Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Steven Spielberg movie, and kindly they chose me to do the voice in the UK. Something is coming. Something big. And as I said that, a voice in my headphones said, "Wow, that's a great voice." And I didn't recognize it was Steven Spielberg. He was listening in from the States into London. Well, I swore. I said, "Who the is that?" Everybody went crazy in the studio. "Shh, no, it's Spielberg. Oh, sorry." I appreciate what I do. I'm still meticulous about what I do. I'm still proud of what I do. I really don't look at it as a job. I'm having fun. It really is a cool job. It's got to be up there with one of the coolest jobs on the planet. Right, you got it? Cool. I'm out of here. Oh, that's a wrap.
And that is a rap for us too. Was that not fantastic?
Yes.
That was.
And all I could see was his white limo in my head, and how everybody wanted to grow up and be a Don LaFontaine. He was the first person who took his backyard and built a separate dollhouse, it looked like, but it was his studio. Nobody was doing that kind of stuff. But we would be like, Don was making millions and millions and millions of dollars. And he was a very cool guy. He wasn't somebody who was like, I've got my limo. It was practical. He had to be that way. And it was just amazing. He married a sister, by the way, just throw that in. But he was a great guy. And like you said, he had such a hold on the market from 20th Century to Paramount, no conflict of interest. He was the movie guy. And when he passed, his legacy went away. Or not his legacy, but that sound went away. But then there was a Red Pepper. We talked about impressionistic sounds earlier. And wow, that's the new movie guy.
Yay.
Because he connects with us. Because he opens his mouth and the first thing we hear is "in a world," and we're taken to the movies. One voice, one sound. So look at how you can do that, how you can manipulate the world with your voice. He's coming in hot because of his connection to our memories, what makes us feel good, what makes us want to go to the movies and be voice actors.
Yes.
Yeah! Hi, I'm Rolonda Watts, and I just started a new channel on YouTube. It's called Voice Acting with Rolonda. And if you have any interest in voice acting, you're dibbling and dabbling trying to figure it out, or you're a full-blown pro who just wants to up your game, go on over to Voice Acting with Rolonda Watts over there on YouTube and subscribe and let me know what you think.